What is going on, guys? Reaper here, and in anticipation for Far Cry 5 coming out technically today, because this video is going to be uploaded on a Tuesday, but I'm going to get it Monday, I just kind of wanted to give my brief thoughts on Ubisoft, I still don't know how to say it, but my brief thoughts on the company in terms of their quality of their games, because they are somewhat controversial, not as much as EA or anything like that, but they do definitely get a lot of hate just due to their games and stuff like that. So I'm just going to kind of go over my opinions on it, and hopefully this will kind of shed some light on the company, and hopefully you guys will give their games a shot if you haven't, or if you were scorned by them for any reason, that hopefully you're able to get back into their games, because they are a lot of fun. So one of the, if not the first 360 game I played was Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and this was my foray into Ubisoft's game library. And Assassin's Creed is definitely one of the more enjoyable game series that I've ever played, just because I really like the world building, the fact that they mix historical accuracy stuff and like weave in their own story with assassins. It's actually really interesting to me. And the gameplay for the most part is solid for all of the games except for Assassin's Creed, like the original, just because obviously that was a launch 360 game, so the graphics, well, the graphics too, but the gameplay wasn't that tight. So Assassin's Creed 2 improved on it a little bit, and they just kept going from there. And now Assassin's Creed Origins, which a lot of people were very skeptical about, ended up actually being really well done and positively received. I personally think that it goes Assassin's Creed Brotherhood 2 and then Origins for me, actually. Not that Origins is bad, I just really enjoy Ezio, who's the main character of the first, besides the first Assassin's Creed, he's the main character of like 2 or 3 games, and I think he's just a really well done character, and I do like the ancient Italy kind of background that they put in there. So Assassin's Creed Origins was really well done, and I watched a video, I think it was AngryCentaurGaming. I'm going to plug all the channels that I mentioned in here, because a lot of my opinions I agree with videos that I've seen, so I'll plug them in the comment or in the description below. But AngryCentaurGaming, he was like, if this didn't have the Assassin's Creed name, you almost wouldn't know that it was an Assassin's Creed game, because of just the drastic turn that they had. Because the last few Assassin's Creed games, so Unity, which was a hot mess, Black Flag came out before Unity, I believe, actually, but that one wasn't as positively received, and Syndicate, which was the one before Origins, weren't that well received. I personally enjoyed 4. I'm not really good at ship combat, so that was kind of out for me, but the rest of it, I really like the tropical locale and everything like that. And Unity was just meh. I didn't really care for it. The story, the character, just didn't really do it for me. And Origins, which is the newest one, it definitely stood out from the other few that have come out since, and they decided to take a break, because Assassin's Creed used to be an annualized series, so you would get a game every year. So like, for example, Assassin's Creed 3 came out, then Assassin's Creed 4 came out like a year later, and then Unity came out. Like, it was just a yearly cycle, and they were almost going to do that with Far Cry, but they kind of toned that back as well, which gives them time to process their games and make them better. So, and that's the next segue I'll go into, is Far Cry. So I never played the first one, because that was an early PC game, but it was kind of like a tech demo, I believe, is what they originally intended it to do, for like a graphics engine or something like that. So it wasn't like super fleshed out. Far Cry 2 is, I played a little bit of it. It wasn't really my cup of tea. It was fun, but there was a lot of like weird mechanics. Like, there's one mechanic that is kind of infamous, I guess. It's not like a huge problem, but you essentially get malaria, and you have to take malaria pills like all the time. So it's just kind of tedious that you have to keep popping pills. But, you know, whatever. Far Cry 3 was the best game in the series by far. It introduced a really interesting villain. It had another tropical locale, but this one was, I think the previous one was like in Africa, or yeah, I think Africa. So I guess not really tropic, but it had, or no, I said Far Cry 1 was tropic. But anyway, Far Cry 3, tropic locale, really interesting characters. The character progression for the main character is very interesting because you kind of see his descent into, he's just this normal guy, and then he just goes wild and just kills everyone on the island that is opposing him because he's trying to save his girlfriend, his brother, his friends, all that. Far Cry 3 was the best game in the series by far. Far Cry 4, it was pretty good. Obviously, following up on Far Cry 3, it wasn't as strong as it could have been, so that was kind of unfortunate, but it was my first Xbox One game actually, and I really enjoyed it. So Far Cry 4 was pretty interesting. Far Cry Primal was kind of a drastic shift for the series because it brought it to the I don't know if it was Jurassic, but essentially like caveman era, and that was a really interesting design choice, but it ended up working out because a lot of people actually liked that game, but it had its faults for sure. And Far Cry 5 coming up is very interesting because again, it's not an annual thing, so they took their time on this one. It does, because I was hesitant on getting it because I was like, it's Far Cry. Like, you know what you're getting into when you play the game. The story is going to be different. The location's going to be different. There's going to be some differences, but it's not anything like revolutionary. And sometimes that can work for a game. Like, essentially just changing the formula a little bit can make it fresh and interesting and fun. So I was hesitant at first, but now I'm actually going to get it because I'm not a huge review person. I definitely look at them to kind of gauge, like, I'm spending my own money on this, so I kind of want to make sure it's worthwhile. So pre-ordered the gold edition, which comes with the season pass, and if you haven't seen the season pass stuff before, it is super interesting, and I'll go back on another Far Cry game that I missed, but it's essentially, there's 3 different storylines that are unrelated to the main campaign. One of them is in Mars, in space. One of them is in Vietnam, I believe during the Vietnam War. And then the third one is zombies. So yeah, you're going to think, oh, zombies have been done before. And Wolfenstein, The Old Blood did it actually, and I did not expect that at all. Not a Ubisoft game, but super fun. You should check it out. And it was just really interesting to see that they went this way because, and now going back into what I was originally going to say, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, which was its standalone kind of DLC, not really. It was just titled Far Cry 3 for some reason. I suppose just to kind of distinguish it. It was super awesome. It was like a cheesy, over-the-top 80s action movie, and it was just pretty much perfect in my opinion. It had, crazy laser dragons. It had the main character who was like part robot, and instead of meleeing people, sometimes he just flipped them off, and his reloads and everything like that for the shotgun, he just tosses the bullets in. Like, it's so over the top and awesome. You should absolutely check that one out if you are able to, if you can get it on the marketplace or if you get it on PC. Super hilarious and awesome. And that was kind of what made me want to get Far Cry 5, is the DLC alone, but also the fact that the storyline is very topical for Far Cry 5, and it's very relevant to today's society because it focuses on a lot of like corruption and essentially just like hate. It's very relevant to today's standards, and I think that was interesting that they decided to go in that political stance because a lot of games, like for example Call of Duty World War II, they took out the swastika and I believe it was the multiplayer because they don't want people playing as Nazis. Like, that type of PC, you're gonna make your game a joke if it's not historically accurate. And the fact that it doesn't look like Far Cry 5 is pulling any punches with today's I guess ambiance that they're trying to set is really cool, and I appreciate that they're not censoring their game in any way because it's free speech. So Far Cry 5 I'm really excited for. I'm most likely going to be doing a gameplay walkthrough of it for my first time because it's new content, and I was looking for a game that I hadn't played before that I could play for the channel and go through, and this might be it. So expect that hopefully soon. I'll probably upload it on Thursday because this is going up Tuesday, and I won't have the game until Monday night, so I won't have time to play it. But super interested in that. Another game that people bashed to bits when they first heard the concept, and I thought it was really cool because I love these characters. It was Rabbids and Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Now this is a Switch game. It's very strategy based, so it's XCOM style, and if you don't know that, it's essentially just turn based. You're moving on a grid and you take turns, you shoot, and then the opponent shoots, or melee or whatever. And people bashed it to bits because the Rabbids are essentially like the minions, if you know it from Despicable Me. But I really find the Rabbids funny. Just they're so like dumb, and yeah, I'm a child, but I really enjoy the Rabbids because they're just over the top and hilarious. So the game came out, and much to everyone's surprise, because I was in the boat that it was going to be awesome, kind of teasing my friends who were naysayers, but it ended up being an awesome game, and a ton of people were surprised and shocked and excited about the game because it was better, and I thought that was really hilarious. And it is really fun. If you have a Switch, you should definitely pick that one up, because I plugged 30 hours into the main campaign alone, so that's, the content's not lacking, and there's DLC coming up for it. And the last two things I'm going to talk about are the drastic changes that happened with two of their games. I guess technically this segues in. So Far Cry, now I'm switching gears. So Watch Dogs 1 was a disappointment for people because they overhyped it and they thought it was going to be something else that it ended up not being. The tech demo that they had at E3 in 2012, I believe, it wasn't what the new game came out to be, and a lot of people were disappointed. I went in not knowing much about the game, not really caring about it. I played it like a year after the hype train died off for it when people were disappointed, and I thought it was an enjoyable, interesting IP that they could flesh out. And I was really hoping for a sequel. I was not sure if that would happen because a lot of people were scorned by it, so not as many people bought it as they could have. And